Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome to day one of Jet In Academy. We are in the 737. Our first series of videos is getting started in a study level 737, either the Microsoft Flight Simulator or the X-Plane 11 or 12. It does not apply to the 737 MAX, as that is not a study level, and a lot of these procedures will not apply and will not work with the 737 MAX. So first thing we're going to do right from the very start on day one is build our flight plan, and I would encourage you to follow me exactly with the flight plan, especially if you are just getting started, until you get your confidence up and you can head away anywhere around the world and build your own flight plans. Set as departure Miami International. Okay, then we're going to zoom out and we're going to come over and we're going to look for KRSW, Southwest Florida. We're going to click on that and set that as our arrival. Now we're going to make some adjustments to the flight plan. And I know what you're thinking, study level planes, you don't do the flight plan in the flight planner. Well, in my instance, I like to keep things simple and easy, and if you're getting started, it's a nice way to do it, because we can't transfer this flight plan into the FMC, but we can take the waypoints that we're building in our flight plan and we can manually put those into our FMC and build our flight plan like that. Now, you can't see many stars or SIDs or waypoints here. For what we're going to do is come down to the bottom, click More, click Open Filters, come right down to the bottom and click on these air spaces and nav aids and things, open those and then close. And then you will see we have a lot of more options to add SIDs, stars or waypoints. So we're going to take off here at Miami. We're going to come straight out and we're going to add another waypoint, GRIT, G-R-I-T-T. So click on that one, add, and that gives us a nice straight line for departure. We can come out, we can gain altitude, gain speed nice and slowly and gently, turn on our autopilot, and then our plane will turn nice and gently round to the right and follow our plan. Okay, so these are the waypoints that are going to appear up here, and we're going to transfer these into our FMC a bit later on. Okay, so zoom out, come on up to your arrival airport. We want a nice general approach. Okay, so we're going to add another waypoint called SWAGs. Now I found it already on a flight plan that I was putting together and building. Okay, so here it is right here. If you zoom out, it's almost about in the middle of the trip, almost about in the middle. There it is there. So click on that one and add. Okay, now to give ourselves a nice gentle approach for our ILS, we're going to swoop out around this way and come in for a nice straight approach. So the next waypoint we're going to add is Butley. So we will come in here and have a look for Butley. Okay, so here is Butley here. If you zoom out, it is just in this little bay area here, not far from KRSW. Just draw a line out from there, come in, and there is Butley. So we're going to click on that and click Add. Our next one is going to be Tropic. This is going to help us curve round and make a nice gentle approach into KRSW. There it is there. Click on Tropic, Add. Okay. Okay, so one I have found is Wixix. Okay, WEXIX. I've clicked on that one and I've added it. Now as you can see, I've selected a series of waypoints that are going to give us a nice approach, a nice curve round and a straight approach for an ILS approach. So you click waypoints that we're going to give you a nice gentle curve round and a straight on approach to the runway. That way we got plenty of time to get down to the right speed, the right altitude, and be configured for a lovely landing. So those are our waypoints all done and selected. And you can see along the top they appear. We depart KMIA, we're going to Grit, Swags, Wexix, Butley, Tropic, and then straight in. Well, there's one more waypoint I think I could add in here. Let's have a look. Dolphin. We could add Dolphin. Let's click on that one and add it. That gives us one more waypoint there. And at that sort of waypoint, we can mentally take a note and say, okay, at that waypoint, we're going to be traveling at the right speed, the right configuration for landing. We're going to be traveling around about 140, 130, 140 knots, fully configured, gear down, flaps down, ready to land. So that Dolphin waypoint there is our final decision time. We have got to be configured perfectly for landing when we hit Dolphin, okay? But we won't be doing that in today's video. Today we're just doing this flight plan setup and getting the plane ready to taxi for departure. So that is our flight plan all done. It is a beautiful looking flight plan. Now write down these waypoints or take a screenshot, because these are the waypoints we're going to be putting into our FMC. Now there's some other information as well we will need for an ILS landing, and I've put it on this flight plan here that I made earlier, and that is the frequency of the runway 111500. We will need that to tune into our radio, and we'll also need to put this heading into our course display, our little course thing in the autopilot. So write down our frequency 111500 and take a note of our heading 58. We will need that to set up for our ILS approach. Okay, so that all is our preparation work done. So let's make sure we've got the right time of day. I like morning. Just the sunrise is nice, the colors are beautiful. Get your weather set right if you like that. A nice sunny day with a little bit of cloud looks really nice. Okay, so we're going to spawn into the airport. Let's make sure that we spawn in the right place. Now we don't want to be particularly right on the runway today, because we want to go through our ground services and getting set up. And I also don't want to be way over here. We're going to depart this runway here 27, so we might as well spawn in at a gate that is nice and close and handy to the runway, so we don't have too far to taxi. So let's click on gate F16 is fine, gate F16, and we'll set that as our departure, and that is where we're going to be spawned in, nice and close and handy to our runway. Right, here we go. Now here we are, spawned in at the gate, and you can see Miami, the CBD, Central Business District, in the background there, all the skyscrapers and office blocks, office buildings, just beautiful scenery. Okay, first thing we need to do is to get into our plane and get things underway here. We want to get rid of that staircase first. We don't want the staircase, we want the jetway, so our cabin crew and passengers can come on board through the terminal. So we need to add some DC power to the plane so we can actually communicate. So let's turn on our battery and we'll get our DC power underway there. We'll hit Control 3 and come down here. We'll go into FS Actions, Ground Services, and we'll hit our chocks, remove chocks. If we hit remove chocks, the truck with the stairs will drive away, and then we'll be free and available to attach the jetway. Now, what we need to do, or need to remember is, there he is, driving away. Thank you, mate. What we need to remember to do is, once we have got rid of the staircase, stairs truck, we need to put our chocks back in place again. Otherwise, the ground power cart GPU will not come and connect up when we need ground power. So we've got to put our chocks back in place before we can ask for ground power. Now we do need to ask for ground power because our battery power is not going to actually last very long. So let's get our ground power request underway there. Also, if we come up here, we go to the tower, air traffic control, we go to ground services, and we go to tune to ground. Okay, request jetway connection. Let's click that. Okay, jetway is being connected there. The door will not be opened until the jetway is connected. Health and safety reasons, of course. So once the jetway is connected, the door will be opened and the cabin crew and service people can come on board and get all the sandwiches and everything done. Now we've asked for ground power, so we need to actually physically turn on the ground power of the switch here. So we turn on that. And now we are actually physically running on ground power. There's our ground power unit there, all connected up and looking beautiful. There's a few other things we need to do as well. We're going to be parked at the gate for quite a while, so there's a few other things we need. Air conditioning unit, I'm going to ask for that. I'm going to go to the next page. Portable water request, lavatory request, maintenance van, fuel truck. We're okay for fuel. Let's go to the next page, and passenger bus we do not need. Passenger cleaning, cabin cleaning, we can request. Go to the next page, forward loader request, after loader request. This is for our catering, so we can get all our catering and everything all underway as well. Get all our services done before we actually get our cabin crew and our customers, our passengers on board. So there we go, there's our air conditioning unit all connected there. Soon the trucks will be arriving with our fresh water. Here we go. Fresh water for the cleaning of the gully, topping up the fresh water. Also a truck will come to clean up all the toilets, fresh water. And over here you can see our catering is arriving as well. So it'll be topped up with coffee, tea and cream buns and biscuits and all those nice yummy things that we need to keep our passengers happy. Now, while the service crews are going ahead and getting everything ready for our passengers, everything clean and tidied up and all set to go, we have quite a bit to do here before we start taking on our passengers. We need to check that the plane is actually ready to receive AC power when we start up the APU. And we also need to do some safety checks as well. So let's go over a few of those things now. And let's start our safety checks, and we'll go right from the very top up here. First of all, we will check this, the flight recorder is all on there. We will check the stall warning, overspeed. That's the clacking for the overspeed, that's all good. Stall warning, that is all okay as well. Now we can come down here and we're going to test our lights. These are all our warning lights here. We're going to test those by flicking that down, and we can see all those lights are illuminated. So that is all good and set there. We're going to check our throttle warning horn. Bring our throttle up. Hear that warning horn. That is all good. Now we can come down here and we can check do our fire and overheating test. We can lift up this button here, lift it up, don't turn it because that will engage it, but we can lift it up and check that it comes up okay, and we can do a test, check that our warning lights are on up here, yes, that is all good, and we'll check another one over here. We will check our wheel well overheating. We'll check that one. Warning lights on up here. That is all good and correct. And we'll check our fire extinguishers, our engine extinguishers, to the left and to the right. Let's go over to the right. 3 lights on, so that is all good there. Okay, that's our safety checks done. Now we need to check that the plane is ready to receive AC power, because if some of these levers and buttons and switches are not in the right place when you receive AC power, a lot of these systems start to start up, they come to life, things can move, and there are work people and service people could be on the plane, working on the plane and around the place. Nasty things can happen when plane surfaces start moving when people are working. So let's just check everything is ready to receive AC power. Throttle is in the neutral or idle position. Flaps, speed lever is up. Speed brakes are down. Excuse me. Speed brakes are down. Flaps are up. That is all good. Gear lever is down with 3 lights. Windscreen wipers are all off. Now we're going to do a test up here on our a pre-start test in our overhead panel. We're going to stick to a flow system, a flow pattern, and we're going to keep to this pattern every time we do our checks or our flow. So we start from the left, come over to the right, and we work down each panel, one panel at a time. You can see they're divided up into panels. Coming up here, we're going to come down here. All fuel pumps are off, landing lights are off. Up here we come on down, power switch, battery switch is on, all lights are off, APU switches are off. Over here, seat belts, fasten seat belts lines, they're all off. Windscreen wipers are off. Up here, all the heat switches, window heats, heat probes are all off. Generators are off. These switches here are left on, but these are our hydraulic pumps. These 2 switches in the middle. These outer switches, all they do is allow the hydraulic fluid to flow into the pumps. So whether they're on or off, it doesn't really matter. The hydraulic fluid or oil is not doing anything or going anywhere unless these pumps are on. So if these pumps are off, it doesn't matter if these are on or off. So normally default they are on, and that's fine because nothing is happening anyway. Come on over to here. Everything is we got our packs off. They've got to be off. Isolation valve is on or open. That is fine. We'll turn on our APU bleed a little bit later when we start our APU. Beacon light is on. That is all fine. That is okay for now. Okay, so that's our checks done, our safety check and our flow done. So the next big job we have to do while we're parked at the gate, of course, is the FMC. So it's time to get out that bit of paper, time to get that screenshot that you took of our flight plan and waypoints, because we're going to start programming our FMC right now. We've got quite a bit to do in the FMC. Push Control 3 and you'll come down to the FMC here. Menu. Now, one of the first things we need to do, of course, is get the IRS aligned. The FMC will automatically have the coordinates from the last place we were parked. If we were in Los Angeles or Las Vegas, wherever we were, those are the coordinates that will be automatically in the FMC. So we need to change that. So what I'm going to do, I'll click on FMC. I'll go to Position Init. And I'm going to put Miami's reference in there. Okay. Well, not that. Okay. KMIA. Miami. So we'll put that in there. And there are the coordinates of Miami. So now we're going to come up and we're going to turn on the IRS to start aligning. It takes a while, it can take 10-15 minutes depending on where your settings are. I've got mine set on instantly, I think, so I can get up and flying quite quickly. So we'll turn our IRS around to navigation and that will start aligning. And now we'll come back down to Control 3, our FMC. Now you can see I've got these blank squares here, so it's asking for our position, our coordinates.
So here are our coordinates here for Miami. I'm going to click on those. I'm going to click those into there and it will disappear, but our coordinates for Miami are now into the computer. Now we can go to route and we'll click that again and we've got Miami in there. Now if you've got your waypoints and your flight plan that I showed you earlier, you can bring that up and put our destination in there, KRSW, Southwest Florida, KRSW, so let's do that. KRSW, that goes in there. We need a flight number, so let's put in jet in 105, so we'll put that in there. And then we'll go to departure and arrival. We're going to depart Miami at runway 27. Can't see it there. Let's go to the next page. There we go, runway 27. We'll click on that. Now we'll click on depart arrive again and we'll go to KRSW arrive. We'll click on that and we're going to approach ILS 06. Okay, ILS 06, because we're going to do an ILS approach. We'll click on ILS approach 6 and that is in there now. Click on route and it's asking us to activate to make it permanently into the computer there, so we'll click on that. The light highlights execute. We'll click execute. Now we're going to put in our waypoints, so we click legs. Now if you've got that bit of paper handy or the screenshot of the flight plan, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waypoints to put in there. Some of them, a couple of them are in here automatically, but we've got the other ones to put in. So our first one is grit, so let's put that in, GRIT. It can be a bit slow and tedious, this job, to be perfectly honest. Where is it? GRIT. Okay, so we'll put that in there, hit execute. Our next waypoint is swags. Okay, so let's put that in, SWAGS, swags. Put that in there and hit execute. Our next waypoint is Butley, BUTLY. Let's put Butley in there. We'll hit execute. We'll keep it going. After Butley is Tropic. Okay, so TROPC, Tropic. Put that in there, hit execute. The next one is Dolphin, but that's in there automatically. Let's go to the next page. There's runway 06. That's all in there for us. But we've got these two here we don't particularly want, so let's delete those ones that are after our runway. They're way tacked onto the end, which we don't need. They may be waypoints that you go to for a missed approach. I'm not sure about that. I need to do some research in advanced FMC. This is just all basic FMC stuff, guys. Easy stuff to get you up and flying so that you know the basics. That's about all it is, really. Okay, previous. So here's all our waypoints in here. Now if we come up to here and have a look at this MFD, our flight plan should be showing up here. Okay, so these two knobs here is how we can view our flight plan. Let's bring it around to plan. Bring it around to plan, and here we go. There's our plan there. Now step will appear down here on the FMC on that bottom button. So we'll click step and that will take us step by step through our waypoints. There's swags, okay, Butley, Tropic, Dolphin, and then bang, straight into our ILS approach. So we click it one more, a couple more, and we're back to the beginning again. We're going to take off and head up. Where are we? Try to get back to the beginning. Okay. grit. There we go. We're going to depart on the runway and head up towards our first waypoint, which is grit. Now what I like to do is I'm going to put this around, it's on plan at the moment, I'm going to put it around to map. Now if it's on map, when I depart, the magenta line will always be in front of me, and I will just follow the magenta line. It will be aligned, and it will be easy for me to track and just see how I'm going in regards to my flight plan. Okay, now this other switch over here we can use to zoom in and out of our plan. We can get an overall picture of what our plan actually looks like. There, it is very, very small, but I like to keep it fairly well zoomed in so I can see how I'm actually going. Right, so let's hit Control 3 again and come down to our FMC. Now we need to do some work here, okay? Performance init, menu, FMC, hit performance init, and we've got some information to put in here. Cost index, I put about 35 or 30 is okay. That's how much, that's basically how the plane is going to work in regards to economy. How much fuel we're going to try and save when we depart and climb out and all those kind of things. Reserve, I'm going to put 1 in there representing 1,000. Zero fuel weight, I'll click on that once, the plane will calculate it for me. Click it again and it will go into there. Altitude, it's a very short hop, I'm going to put 10 for 10,000. Whoops, did I put the wrong one in there? 10. Altitude, no, it's not doing that. There we go, 10,000. Now let's go to N1 limit. Let's click on that. Let's go to the next one as well. Takeoff flaps, we're going to have 5, so I'm going to click on 5. We'll put 5 there. Now it's calculated our V1, V2, V3 speeds for us. All we got to do is click the adjacent buttons here, and that will lock it into the FMC, into the computer for us. So that's all done. Right, we come back to our route. We come back to our legs. I like to leave it there. And that is everything that we need to do. Now there is a lot more advanced stuff that we can do on the FMC, a lot more advanced. If you want to do some research and study, you can get into that. But that's all I do. It's the bare basic, and it gets us up and flying this beautiful study level plane. We've basically got a flight plan, and we've got an ILS approach. Now the other thing we need to do if we're going to do an ILS approach is we need to come down here to the radio. Okay, and you need to get that flight plan that you took a photo of, or you wrote down, the one that I showed you before. Here it is here. Now here we have the radio frequency for the ILS approach, which is 111.500 and a heading of 58. Okay, so we need to put that 111.500 into the radio here. Now we just turn these knobs to do that. The outer knob is for the bigger numbers, and the little knob on the inside is for the little numbers. So we'll do the big numbers first. We'll highlight the big circle on the outside with our mouse, and then we'll bring that round to 111. Now we'll highlight the inner circle, and we'll bring that down to 50 for 500. Now we'll click this one, and we'll take that over. Click on this and it'll be switched over to the active. Okay, now I've also got to do the same on this side. Highlight the outer circle to bring the big number down to 111, then the inner circle to bring that down to 50, just like that. Click on this one here, the middle switch, and that'll take it over to the active. Now next thing we have to do is we have to put the course or the heading of the runway into our course selector here. Now if you have a look here, it was a heading of 58, so we've got to put that into the course selector. We need to put 58 into there. 58, and also we have to do it on the other side as well. So we'll bring that up to 58. So that's the course of the runway. So that's it, guys. That's it. We are ready to do a beautiful ILS approach. And when we get just above the runway, we'll turn off the autopilot and we'll just touch down manually. Easy as pie. It will be sweet. A beautiful butter landing. But you've got to remember, put your radio frequencies in there for the ILS and your heading in the course display there. And then your plane will pick up those magenta diamonds when you're coming in on your final approach. So that's the ILS all done, and that is the FMC all programmed and ready to go. Right, so we are getting close now to being able to start our APU and getting pushback. Our jetway is still attached, our passengers are on board, and the cabin crew are getting everyone settled into their seats. So I'm going to turn the safety belt seats on so they keep all those fastened. As soon as they sit down, I have the safety lights on, so I'm going to cover that. So we're going to ask for the jetway to be disconnected. Request jetway disconnection. Thank you, guys. And now before we start our APU, we're just going to quickly go over our flow one more time. Throttles are on idle. Gear lever is down with 3 green lights. Windscreen wiper switches are off. So we are all good. We're going to get our APU started now, and then we will do a few final things before we ask for pushback. Now I'm just going to check if we can get clearance here. Okay, clearance, request taxi straight out. We don't really want to get pushback yet, so I'm not. Oh, we can ask request for taxi. Request taxi depart straight out. We can ask. Let's get clearance for taxi. Okay, acknowledge taxi clearance. Now we can just do a final check outside, make sure all the ground crew are finished and all clear. Everyone is all clear. Our push cart tractor is ready there. Ground power is still connected. So we're going to start our APU, and then we will disconnect the ground power. So let's come up here and we'll make sure our turn our APU bleed on. We'll turn on one fuel pump, the left one, and we'll bring our APU switch down, and then down one more click, and we'll hold that until it clicks up, and we should see our APU pressure and our fume gauge come up here. That should start to come up very, very soon. There we go. That is coming up. Now we're not going to turn our power on to the APU until this light here illuminates. That will tell us that it is ready to go. And that's just going to take a little while. So we're going to come down here and do a couple of things on our flight control panel here. Climb out speed, we're going to put up to 250 knots. 250 knots. Altitude, we're going to climb to 10,000 feet. It's a very short little flight today, so we're going to leave it at that for now. Auto brakes, we're going to switch that round to RTO. We're going to set our barometric pressure there. And we're going to turn on our flight directors very, very soon. But that's all we're going to do for there right now. Let's go back up here. Our light is on, so we can switch our power over to the APU. And we are now running on our APU. If we check out the back, we should see the fumes and gases coming out there, so that is all good. Now you'll notice I did leave turning on the APU right to the last minute, right close to pushback, because those are the rules at most airports. We can't sit here for half an hour running our APU and causing all those fumes and smoke and gases. Imagine 100 planes around the airport. That would be disastrous. So we're starting up now because we are close to getting pushback. So we're going to come down here to our FMC, and we're going to be able to dispatch our ground power now. Ground power release. And while we're there, we'll also remove our chocks and in preparation for pushback. So our ground cart is disconnected and gone, so that is all good. So we can get pushback, but we can't start our engines as soon as we start getting pushback. Most airports have a bit of a regulation. See that line back there? There's usually a line somewhere behind the terminals, behind the planes. And we need to be over that line before we start our engines, okay? We can't start our engines close to the terminal here. And as soon as the pushback starts, we cannot start our engines. We must wait till our engines are over that line, and most airports have a line of some sort, and that's the line they use to regulate when you can actually start your engines. So let's just come up here, quickly go through our flow. Particularly our lights. We turn our taxi lights on. These lights are okay, they are pretty good, everything is there, set to go. Now we're going to start our engines. We need our isolation valve open, so that is open there. We still have our APU bleed on. That's just going to provide pressure to get our fans actually turning when we start our engines. Okay, so let's go ahead and ask for pushback. We are all clear and ready to go. Request pushback.
Miami ground, Jet and Juliet, India 1028 requesting pushback. Jet and Juliet, India 1028 pushback request accepted.
Now we come to our brakes. We've got to hold down our foot brakes, our two rudder brakes. We've got to hold down our foot pedal brakes at the same time as we click this to actually release our brakes. Although I've got a feeling I just put the brakes on actually, but that's what you've got to do. It is a little bit tricky. Our pushback cart is coming into position here, so that is all good. We have clearance for taxi to the active, so we are all good. And we've done our checks. We are all ready to start up our engines. And we are moving. That's better. I did actually turn my brakes on. I always get confused with that. Brakes are out or on and in are off. Okay. A little bit confusing, I have to say. Okay, so we're getting pushback, but remember we cannot start our engines as yet. We can turn our fuel pumps on in preparation. Check our isolation valve is open. And we've just got to wait till our engines get over that line. And they are pretty much over that line now. So let's get our right engine started and underway. Now if you want to stop your pushback, just push Shift P and the pushback truck will stop. And also put your brake back on, okay? Otherwise you could find yourself rolling forward. So let's check our engines are firing up. That engine is firing up. So we check the number here. It's coming up to 20, 28, 24, 25. We can add fuel to that engine. Keep an eye on that. When it's around 24, you can just bring this lever up and add fuel to that engine. So it's quite a busy time when you're getting pushback. Quite a few things to keep an eye on. Now we're waiting for the start switch to switch back to the central position. When it does that, we can go ahead and start our second engine. You'll hear a click. There we go. It's clicked back to the central position. So let's go ahead and start our left engine. Our left engine is starting to turn there. There we go. Beautiful. Right, now let's keep an eye on our pressure here. When that's up to around 24, it's up to around 25 already, so we will add fuel to that engine. And we'll see both of those engines come up to around 60. You can hear the whirring of those engines winding up there now. Now while you're down here, I put this back 2 legs so I can follow our flight plan there. There he is. I heard the click of that switch going back to the central position. Okay, so let's switch our power over from the APU to the engine bus. So we'll flick these 2 outer switches down. We are now running on power from our engines, and we're going to switch our engines over to continuous. Okay. We're going to switch off our APU, and we're going to turn off our APU bleed. We do not need to switch off this power bus for the APU. That will be off, and it will go off automatically. So we have 2 beautiful good engine starts there. That is absolutely perfect. Can see our engine pressure and everything there is very, very good. Right, so let's come on up here and do a few things. We're going to go through our flow again from left to right. We're going to turn on our yaw damper. We're going to come down here, fuel pumps on, landing lights we can turn on now if we want to, save us forgetting to do it later. Okay, power switches, lights, taxi lights on, APU is off. Let's come up here, come down here, fasten seat belts, everything is on there. Windscreen wipers are off, engines are on continuous. Coming up here now, just before we do that, let's turn on our packs, get our air condition and airflow. Window heat, we're just going to turn that on there, and our heat probes, let's get those on. Window de-ice, and we'll come on down here, and that is our flow done. We are ready to taxi. Engine bleeds on, APU bleed off. The main thing to check while you're down here, up here guys, before you taxi, the main concern, all fuel pumps on, engines on continuous, engine bleeds on, generators on. Okay, and that is all good. Now, a couple of other things we need to do to prepare. We're going to get our flaps set in the right position. We're going to bring our flaps down to 5. There. And we'll give ourselves a little bit of trim. Not a lot, just a tweak. And also while we're here, we're going to check our control services. So let's come up here. You'll see a little button there, Systems, Engine and Systems, MFD. Click on System, and you'll come down here and you'll see your control services. So move your yoke through all its movements, left to the right, up and down for liftoff, pitch, and also your rudder movements as well. So you don't need to go outside the plane and physically look at your plane. You can see all your control surfaces here. We can then come up here and actually switch that off. Now we've got our brakes, automatic brakes, and RTO, rejected takeoff, flaps are 3. Climb out speed set at 250. We're going to cruise at 10,000 feet. I did put the course in here, I think, for our ILS, but I've done this video. It's quite a long process, so I have done it in several takes, which means I probably need to put it in there again for this take. We're going to turn on our flight directors, both sides. Okay, I'm not going to turn on my auto throttle as yet. Some people do, but I like to control my speed and my throttle manually as I'm climbing out. It gives me something to do, a bit of excitement. This is just the way I do it. I'm not saying it's the absolute correct way to do everything, guys. It's just what I've learned so far to help you get up and flying and enjoying your study level plane. So that is it. That is it for lesson 1 of study level 737 in Jet In Academy. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was helpful. As I said, I'm not 100% expert. Any questions, put them in the comments below. If there are pilots or more experienced people watching this video, please feel free to comment and actually be one of the teachers in this academy and leave comments that are helpful. Don't just criticize and run away. Be mature, like I said. If I've missed something, and if you know more than me, and most people do, please put it in the comments below, and let's just help each other out and support each other as we have fun with these study level 737s. Okay, so we are ready to taxi, and we will do that on our next video. So let me know what you think. Subscribe and stay tuned if you love flying the study level 737, and I will see you on our next session at the Jet In 737 Academy. Take care, guys. Stay safe and enjoy your holiday time over Christmas. Bye.